The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
The Tidal Influence Lotus 49 World Cup Championship celebrates the 50th anniversary of a historic and iconic race car by coming to Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, where the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park will play host to the third round of this 12-round campaign. And all the action from green flag to victory donuts can be seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hello from the Heartland Province and welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green. I'm Bill Soupzon, back from his runner-up performance in the Sakatumi Competitive Knitting Championship is our Lotus 49 expert Joe Peak. Our director is Amjad Yaman, and Dougie Beard is our camera guru. If you brought cyberspace into your place, then over the next 10 streaming award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate the 45 laps of simulated historic open-wheel racing that will be streaming your way. This broadcast is made possible thanks to Tidal Influence and an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California that restores wetland saves and studies endangered species and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com. The series has seen two very different tracks to start off the championship. The first combined course at Monza, and then the national configuration at Donington. But despite two different layouts, there's been only one winner, that being England's own Mick Claridge. And now, to get ready for round 3, let me reintroduce my booth partner, Joe Peak. Joe, we missed you last time. Welcome back.
Thanks, Bill. Although I don't appreciate you making up stories about me and telling lies to our viewers. I mean, if you're going to tell them stuff about where I am, tell them the truth. I was in an ostrich rodeo. So people really need to be aware of what's real here. Anyways, welcome to Mosport. One of the things I want to point out as we look at the track map here is that this 2.5-mile layout that you see on screen is pretty much how this place looked when it opened in 1961. It's a rarity nowadays that racetracks aren't altered in some form or fashion to adapt to the demands of modern safety. But these drivers can truly picture themselves racing like they did in the very first Canadian Grand Prix. That said, the majority of these 10 corners are fast sweepers with lots of elevation change. That means passing opportunities will be at a premium. Moss Corner looks like the best one on paper, but is really risky to attempt it into there. Expect most passes to happen into the S's. The real worry for most of the drivers is Clayton, turn 2. In real life, the runoff is now paved, meaning it's not as dangerous, but here on the iRacing version, you still got that grass on the outside. I can almost guarantee you that a few races will end at this blind, scary corner. But to really show you how terrifying it could be, let's head to the GSRC lap guide. All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Mosport. Down into turn 1, drivers can take a lot of this inside curb, so much so that if they wanted to, they can straddle it, bleed onto the power, and get the car to the right quick for Clayton. The crest here means you'll want to double apex this sucker by letting it drift back out mid-corner. As you scrub off speed, cut it back in and ease onto the throttle. Once again, switch sides quickly, get the car settled, and try your best to get the nose turned in for Quebec. The exit of this corner really opens up, but can't quite be taken flat to the floor until the car is pretty well straightened out. Then comes the plunge through turn 4. Ideally, you'll want your left front tire to barely glance the gutter on the inside. Hold tight to the left and use the compression at the bottom of the hill to get the car slowed up. As the track falls away, it'll want to push in the middle of Moss. Aim for the straightest exit you can out of this hairpin so that you can get on the gas as soon as possible. Now we've hit the Andretti straight, which proves no problem in most cars, but the 49 will be bouncing all over, getting squirrely. Here's a little trick I learned. Let fourth gear bounce off the limiter over the hump and the car stays planted so that you can keep your foot in it. Once you come over the final rise, you gotta slam on the brakes and get it turned in for the S's. Try to keep the car tight to the inside to offer a better line into 9. In the end, you want to set the car up for the ideal entry into White's Corner, which is the slowest of these switchbacks. Be gentle on the power, and if you kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Mosport.
Joe Peak may be able to take you around the racetrack, but it's my job to take you around a lap of the point standings. We talked about them a while ago, but now you can see it documented on the screen, and of course I'm speaking of the points leader, Mick Claridge of the UK. Ovit Trengarade was on pace for his second podium at Donington until a mistake dropped him to 4th. Nevertheless, the Norwegian still holds down 2nd. Trengarade's mistake rewarded Borja Casal with a Donington 2nd place trophy, enough to rocket that Spaniard 4 spots up into 3rd. And tied for 4th are Australia's Benjamin Soko and Michael Morrison of the US. Now, for each race, the nation's highest scoring driver earns points for his home country in the Constructors' Cup. After 2 races, the flags are pretty much in similar order to what you saw in the Drivers' Championship, with the UK way out in front of Norway. Spain, the USA, and Australia are in a close fight for that final podium. So, Joe, we've talked about the track, looked at some of the point standings. How about we go over quickly these race details?
Absolutely. This is round 3 that we're going to be watching today out of a 12-round season. However, there's no drop races in this championship that we're covering, so you really got to show up every week. Running the Lotus 49, of course, in the Lotus 49 series. And this is open setups, and there's no stops for fuel, just like they ran in the old days in 67. The race distance that we're looking at is 45 laps today. This is a very short lap time around here, so they're going to be running around a lot of times. Local cautions only, so there's no full course cautions to slow them down. They do have an incident camp, since this is an official race, as we see an explanation. Ove showing us what an incident looks like. 17 incidents, and you get a DQ, you disappear from the track. They have no fast repairs either. You really got to keep this car whole, can't damage it, because you're not going to be wanting to make pit stops if you do have to come in for repairs. The points, they have 1967 rules, so they pay to 6th place, just like they did in the Formula One Championship for quite a few years. And they have dynamic weather out there today, clear skies, 73 degrees, and 80-degree track temperature. Nice and cool out there in Canada.
Should be good racing. You know, one of the things that this series wanted to do is draw in some new drivers into this series, and we have one today, one of our favorites. We're talking about Jeroen Ursum. You see him right now in that Barbie car that he races for his little girl. Of course, Jeroen racing, the Dutch driver reaching out of the Netherlands. Good to welcome in here. Always great to see some new blood coming into the series, Joe.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see how Jeroen fares. This is such a different car to the MX-5 that sometimes you see drivers that may not fare well in those slower, more momentum-based cars to something like this, which is all power and no weight to it, and it requires a little bit of a gentle throttle. So you never know, maybe Jeroen could fare a little bit better out here.
We saw another one of our favorites. He's not here today. Patrick Fliss get a 6th place, I believe a 6th place finish last time when we were at Donington. Pretty much, though, looking through the names, all familiar faces.
Yeah, these are all the regulars that I've raced against for many seasons, years now at this point. Mick Claridge, obviously, Ove, Jack Ulstead, Brett Rial's a regular now. He's a little bit of a newer face, but he's been showing up more and more. Billy Bob Wright, glad to see him. He's actually, I'm thinking, once I do get back into the car, he's going to start to give me a hard time here because he's all the way up qualified in 6th currently. So William is looking like he is continuing to improve his skills in this machine.
Now, in the pre-race, I kind of think this was a mistake. I said 45 laps of racing. Is that what we actually have on tap here, Joe? That seems like a lot. That can't be right.
I'm looking at iRacing, 45 laps.
So I think we're going to be here a while with these are usually about a half-hour race, but with the lap times that they are, a longer race today.
Looks like our qualifying is through, so let's go to the grid.
Let's go ahead and do that right now. We see sitting up there on the pole, it's no surprise to see Mick Claridge and Borja Casal in 2nd position. I'll take the first 3 rows. Ove Trengrade in the 3rd spot. Jack Ulstead behind him. Making final on row 3, Brett Reale and William Wright. Joe?
Michael Morrison will be starting in 7th with Frank Oosterhuis in 8th, Christian Starkov in 9th. David French rounds out the top 10 with Benjamin Zilko, the Australian, starting in 11th. Daniel Weishank in 12th. Andrew Ang will start the race in 13th. Christopher Winton, that's a new name here, and 14th. Don Good in 15th. Jeroen Ursum qualified last of the drivers to put in time in 16th. And Hideki Kovisto, apologies if I pronounced that wrong, will round out the field without a qualifying time.
Going to make the assumption that that's a Japanese driver, and he is at the back of the field, so we have 17 drivers' names on the grid. 17 drivers.
He's Finnish, actually.
He's Finnish, okay. See, never should assume. Well, right now I'm going to assume that we're going to go racing pretty quickly. You can hear those engines start to rev. Gather up the chickas, take cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn. No surprise to see our points leader, Nick Claridge, lead them down into the first corner, tuck in into 2nd pace. That is Casal, Trengrade, Ulstead, and Wright round out your top 5.
This is going to be tough going too wide through turn 2 here, but it looks like pretty much everybody gets single file. These guys are smart. They've been in this series. They know you can't really challenge it in that corner first time out.
Nice job as they work their way through Clayton. They get that straightened out, and they go through Quebec as well. So far, all the cars still on the track.
Got someone going a little bit wide coming out of turn 3 Quebec there, but looks like he managed to keep it on the track. This is where it's going to get interesting. Coming off of Moss, getting to the power can be tough here.
Now they work their way for the first time down the Mario Andretti straight. Nice long straightaway. Now, Joe, let's talk draft. I mentioned last time that these cars are draft sensitive, but you're saying that they're not.
They're really not. They will get a little bit of a whiff of it going down the Andretti straight, but it's not honestly going to be enough to help you unless you're tucked right up underneath the guy ahead of you. And by that point, you're usually in a position to pass in the first place. But coming across the line, look at Mick Claridge, a gap of 1.3 already.
Yeah, I think after what I personally saw at Monza, I think it gave me the wrong impression of these cars. And certainly, Donington was a different animal.
Ooh, and Mick really took that first, or was that Borja that took that?
Yeah,
Mick that we were looking at on screen. Yeah, he clipped the grass on the inside. You got to be really careful of that because you're coming over that crest. There's no downforce on this car. Once it sends you in a direction, you're going to be going that way in a hurry. And if you go off on turn 2, it's unlikely you're going to stay out of the barrier.
So we're looking at that battle right now. This is Gasol. Gasol had that second place finish. What he did last time at Donington was sit back there in fourth and just wait for the opportunity. And when it happened, he walked right through the door. Right now, he's up in front of Trengrade.
Yeah, it looks like these two having a nice little battle for second place, not terribly close as they head into the S's. That's probably, as I said at the start of the broadcast, the place that you're going to see most of the passes attempt to be made, even though it's a relatively fast corner. It's really your only straightforward opportunity.
Let's go back to 4. We'll look here at Jack Olstadt. As they come across, finishing up this lap, he's being chased by Billy Bob Wright here. This is a nice performance there by Wright. And then Michael Morrison. Remember, Morrison was sitting tied for 4th in the points right now, looking to get another good points day.
A nice three-person battle here, and Billy Bob Wright, really the meat and the sandwich. Not as fast in the middle of the corner, it looks like.
Oh, Reale. Oh, sorry to interrupt, Joe. Brett Reale. Oh, I thought he was going to put it in the grass. He was able to save it. Sorry. We'll get
Look
this
at
on
the
replay
here.
Took my breath away. He goes really wide. I guess it was through, must have been through Quebec.
That's Clayton, yeah, that he went a little bit wide through there. And what happened was his entry was not shallow enough. You kind of, it's counterintuitive. You got to really cut it in early and then double apex it. And he came in way too wide. That was usually a death sentence, but he did a good job of blowing the car up.
This track has one of my favorite corner combinations, the 5-6 combination. I'd like to think of 5-6 as one corner, and that's Moss. They've already gone through. We'll check that out as they come around next time. A great combination for racing. Right now, Claridge way out in front.
Yeah, already has upped it to 2.3 seconds. We're only 3 laps into this thing. This is impressive stuff from Mick Claridge. The 45-lap race, I mean, the mistakes could be made as we now hit lap 4, but I don't often see them happen for Mick. So we can't write it off yet, but he is looking very good to run away with this.
Let's drop back to 9th place real quick. We have a nice little battle going on. This is David French being challenged by Benjamin Zocco. Zocco and French both missed last round at Donington. Good to see them both back here.
This is a little bit farther back than I'm used to seeing Ben. He tends to be up at the front of the mid-pack, kind of battling for these podiums every once in a while. We saw him get one at Monza, which was a great run from him. I'm surprised he's not farther up and fighting a little bit harder, but like I said, early days, as he comes in a little bit loose into Moss. This is the critical part I was talking about, getting the power down, and here you might see the draft come in, because he's pretty close up to David French here.
Now 2 car lanes back. If this was something we just saw an open wheel race in the Skippy, this would be done and dusted right now, but yeah, the number 4 machine just didn't get a run. He's not going to be able to get it done as they start into the S's now.
Look at him close up. Nice job in the second half of turn 8 there. Loses out a little bit in 9, but White's corner might give him a chance if he gets a run. I've seen guys sneak passes on this first corner, but definitely not going to see it from Ben here. He's too far back. It's just you only dab the brakes going into there, so it's really not unless you're side by side that you can execute that.
Oh, let's go to 5th real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like this is Michael Morrison. He is really over the back, all over Billy Bob Wright. In fact, now he's trying to do it on the outside as they work their way through Quebec. Boy, he is all over him.
Billy Bob got a great launch coming out of Quebec, though. The best defense in these cars usually is just getting to the power and getting the traction down. Easier said than done.
Now they go through Moss. I'm not sure if he's close enough, but man, Morrison through those, as they cross the start-finish line, was doing everything through 1 to see if he could get around the couple American drivers going at it there.
And Billy Bob did everything right there. You can't panic when you start to be attacked in this car. You've got to stay smooth. As soon as you start panicking and putting in wild inputs into the steering and the gas and the brakes, that's when the car starts to break loose, your lap times go down, and the other guys are just going to gobble you out.
We'll stay on this for a bit longer here because this is where Morrison was really, really strong. Joe, 45 laps, again, caught me by surprise. Is saving the tires, is that something that you would have to think about in these cars?
Well, not in the traditional sense. So, in most cars, you got to save the tires because you start to lose lap time, you start to lose grip. And though you do lose grip in these cars, it's not... It's more if you abuse them, right, that they overheat just a little bit and you really don't get what you need. They can come back to you, but it's not as drastic as you get in something like the stock cars.
I guess we should leave that battle. Let's go to P2 right now because talk about the draft. Here comes Trengrade. Now look at the defensive line that Casal is going to be taking into 5 coming up here. Or no, I'm sorry, into 8. But it's not going to work.
Oh, no!
Oh, no!
Ove's off into the wall. He tapped it just a little bit, and he's going to keep it out of the tires. I don't know how much damage he got from that, though. Oh, it looks like he's done. Oh, he definitely got some damage.
It looked to me like he just got the left sides off on the grass under braking, and that's the kiss of death.
And he's taking it into the pits, so yeah, he's done for today. Yeah, if you watch here, he gets off to the side, and this is what I'm always wary of, is he just dipped the wheel into the grass, just barely, and that pulls you off into the side. Now, I don't know if you noticed on my lap guide, Billy, it might have looked like I left, like a whole foot on the side of the track there. And that's because these cars bounce around a lot on this old track. The hot and the cold over those Canadian winters really makes it bumpy. And you can't risk getting too close because if the car jostles around and you just dip a wheel off like we saw with Ove, that's exactly what happens. It sucks you into the wall.
Well, a top contender not going to score many points here today for himself or for Norway, as he is our first victim. All the other drivers still racing right now.
And that takes a lot of pressure off of Mick Claridge. If those guys would have sorted themselves out, they maybe could have tried to work together to try and run him down, but now it's all down to Borja, and he's already 6 seconds behind.
Borja coming off a second place finish last time, so this is 2 in a row for him. So I guess we'll drop back one position from what our director's showing us. Let's go back to third because this may be the best battle, at least for the front runners. This is Olstad. Now Billy Bob Wright has kind of left Morrison behind now and has visions of maybe a podium for Billy Bob.
Now this doesn't look like left behind to me. I think Michael is still holding on to the back of these guys, especially if Billy Bob starts to fight like we see here. I don't know if that was a legitimate attack or if maybe he couldn't get the car back across the track. It's tough to get it off to the left side and get grip out of Clayton there.
Billy Bob in that tough position of trying to be aggressive to get around Olstad, all the while a mistake could cost him the position to Morrison.
Oh, great job by Morrison from kind of swinging wide and try to get himself the run off, but didn't pay off as much as I thought it would. Usually you want to try and kind of swing it wide mid-corner there through Moss, like you said, because it's more like one corner, and then get to the power sooner than later. But Billy Bob's starting to close in on Jack here.
Boy, look at Olstad maybe got a tiny bit of the grass. We don't want to do that.
That's not actually, that's rather normal through this corner. You really try to hug the inside in this car on that corner. So you're going to see guys kind of clip it. Just glancing it is actually pretty good for the line.
That main straightaway, just not enough between the final corner and the first corner. Just really not enough room to get anything done there, is there, Joe?
Oh, it's so short, especially in this car. Oh, look at this. Michael Morrison with a great run, and Billy Bob is definitely feeling threatened. He goes defensive.
What I like about watching the racing here, you could just feel that so much of it is in the driver's hands.
Oh, and who is this? Christopher Warren and Frank Oosterhouse. Man, not often that you can survive going through Clayton too wide, but they both made it work. I don't know how. And they actually made contact, I think, from what we saw on screen.
They were fighting for a 10th place. Actually, 11th place on that one.
Oh, and what's happened to Morrison?
All three of them are in trouble.
So, did this start with Jack
It started up front. Billy Bob Wright got into the back of Olstadt, and they started to spin, and Morrison had nowhere to go. You can see Wright there had a great closing rate.
Wonder if he maybe had visions of sneaking up the inside, which you can do if you carry the run and take the alternate line coming up into 9. Let's watch on board Billy Bob. It's very strange that he pulled up to him like that.
It looked like maybe Olstadt got a little bit loose, maybe lost a little bit of momentum. I think Billy Bob maybe thought, I'll take advantage of this.
Well, Olstadt has gone into the pits. Morrison's gone into the pits. Is Billy Bob still out there? Yeah. William is still going. Watching from the gearbox here. Oof, sad to see that happen to 3 top contenders, but I'm not surprised, Bill. Honestly, one of the notes I always make for this course, and especially so in this car, is that attrition is going to play a factor. This is a track that punishes mistakes severely. It goes back to that old school nature.
Well, with all that going on, let's go ahead and run down maybe your top 10. Of course, Mick Claridge out in front of all the chaos is having a nice, quiet Sunday drive, and Casal doing the same thing. Borja Casal racing in second. He's got about 12 seconds back. Now look who's gone up to third. We haven't talked about him. It's Brett Reale. He's been back then racing quietly. He's in a little bit of a battle being chased by Christian Starkov and then David French. That's a battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Also in the mix, Benjamin Sarko from Australia. Then it's a little farther back. You get to Billy Bob Wright, who's kept that car still out there. Moving up to 8th, Frank Osterhaus. Christian Winton back in 9th, and then the car rounding out your top 10, Andrew Eng.
Well, while we've got a chance, actually, let's wait, actually, because I think Benjamin Zoka might have a run
Let's go to Billy Bob Wright. He just had an off in Moss. I think he's able to keep it out of the wall.
Let's look at the replay. I think this is a pretty common occurrence, just blowing the brake a little bit down into Moss.
When I saw it, I thought he was heading for the wall, but he was able to get it woed up.
The car doesn't have too much speed through this corner, so usually you can save it from around there. Just dragged a little bit of dirt onto the track. Now I think we've got a chance. It looks like Morrison has gotten out of the car and taken off his goggles, so why don't we give him an interview?
Let's go ahead and we'll talk to him right now. We're talking Michael Morrison sitting 5th in the points right now in the championship points. Not your day as Mick Claridge is off. Hang on, Mick. We'll get to you. Mick Claridge just had an off in Moss.
He didn't hit anything. The second lap in a row, one of our top drivers. And wow, this is unusual. It looks like he lost the rear under braking. Usually this is a compression part, and the car is very planted. Oh, it started just
way
before he got to the compression. Yeah. Wow, that is rare to see Mick Claridge have a major mistake, but his lead was so significant, he still got 5 seconds over Borja.
All right, now maybe we'll get to Michael. Sorry, Michael, we're going to talk to you there, and then I do declare he's decided he'd give us a little excitement. Tough break there. You were running back there behind those guys when they started to get together, nowhere for you to go.
Yeah, it's the same because I got the worst of it. It all comes down to my really below average qualifying for me. I had an off for my first qualifying lap and wasn't able to regain my composure and was half a second off in just the first sector of my second lap. So, but even if I had an ideal qualifying lap or even an average qualifying lap, like even an ideal lap, I would have been behind Jack. And I don't know what's gotten into him, but he's improved by a second on his qualifying pace and a half a second on his race pace. So, congrats to him for increasing in pace so much. But it was just so hard because there's no place to pass you, and the only place I can get a run on William was in a corner that's impossible to pass. So I was just stuck, and I ended up being a victim of a racing incident ahead of me.
Michael, this is Joe. With this being a little bit of a longer race with 45 laps, do you think drivers are maybe holding back a little bit, especially with the attrition rate they're seeing? Do you think maybe they're keeping something in reserve just to try and get it to the end?
From what I experienced, not at all. It looked like Yak was pushing pretty hard in a couple of corners, and it looked like he got a little bit loose in the middle of a corner, and that's what backed up William and caused a racing incident. At least that's what I can make out from my vantage point, but everything happened so fast that by the time I realized there would be contact and that they'd be coming back across the racing line, it was far too late for me to do anything.
Well, we're sad to see you out so early. It was looking like it was going to be a good battle for a podium spot there, and best of luck next week.
Oh, I actually should be able to get back out and finish the race. I'm aiming to at least get to lap 23 so I can get participation credits for the...
Let's go to Daniel Vinchek real quick in 14th position, car number 16.
Oh, he had a major incident here. And, you know what happened? This is something I mentioned on the lap guide, Bill. Watch him over the crest here. The car gets sideways. This is something you don't experience in any other car on iRacing. That crest in this car is so powerful, so light, that if you stay on the power, it'll start to get squirmy under you, and you got to use little tricks or lift a little bit to try and keep it from getting sideways on you.
That happened right in front of Jeroen Ursum, who pretty much came to a stop out there to avoid the incident. Jeroen, last car on the lead lap right now. I can also report that Trengere brought his car back out. It was injured, and he crashed and put it in the wall, so he is now officially done. Well, Michael, good luck to you. If you come back out there, and good luck, and see if you can get it back out and get some points for yourself.
The ETA is 2 minutes, by the way, and thank you.
All right.
So hopefully we'll see Michael back out. But look at this battle we've been watching while we were talking to him. This is for that third place position. Brett Real leading the train. He's under a lot of pressure, Bill.
Yeah, he's got Starkov behind him, French, and Zoko. This is great. It works for Moss. Oh, I think that Starkov is going to have a good drive here. Something's going to happen this time.
No, he was way too shallow through Moss. As soon as I saw him go into that corner, I knew that he was not going to get a good run. If anything, French is under threat because Zoko got a great run on him, and he's closing fast.
Boy, passing at such a premium.
And as we watch this, they just went through turn 8 there at the end of the straight. You know, I talked about this at the Monza broadcast. The people complain these cars feel so slow. They were doing 100 plus through that corner with no downforce, mind you. These are not slow cars. It just seems like it because you're going extremely fast down the straightaways. You're still going fast in the corners.
I think one of the things that gives the impression of not a lot of speed is that they don't come to a quick stop, that it's a slow entrance into the corner, so you don't see them suddenly into the corner like they do. You really have to prep for that corner ahead, but it puts on some great racing that we're looking right now. Reali still fending off Sarkov. French back there, a great 4-car battle.
Oh, Borja's blown his engine. Borja Valero has a smoking engine, and this was down... Oh, where was this actually? This is bizarre. He did it into turn 4. Usually you don't downshift there, which might be the culprit. Maybe he downshifted when he shouldn't.
So we're going to listen to this one.
This is coming out of Quebec. Look at that counter steering. He is really wheeling that car, and this is where it happens. We're not sure, but there you see it's smoking. I've only really had an engine blow on me once, and that was from downshifting, so that's just really strange. I'm not sure if maybe they did something in this latest iRacing build to maybe change how these cars operate. booster house seems to have some problems, judging by the way he's coming into the pits here. Oh, he got off shortly before that. We might be able to get a replay here about 30 or 40 seconds ago, coming through turn 9.
Here we go. Our director's found it. Joe, what are you seeing?
His line looks fine. I think he didn't... Oh, there he goes. He goes offline, coming off into 9. And didn't get the brakes enough. And once he kind of skittered off into the dirt, there was no keeping it out of those tires. This is why you got to stay to the right side coming out of turn 8 there.
Attrition playing a huge factor now as some big names have had trouble. Allstott, Trengrade, and we also lost their Casal.
And even Frank is getting on the chat and saying how many mistakes he's seen from everybody out there. I guess I've been doing it wrong all this time. We're hearing from the chat that you engine brake down into turn 4, so I guess all my years of running that track, I was running turn 4 wrong.
Engine braking meaning as you downshift, you match the rev up and let the engine help you?
Yeah, to slow yourself down. I just would always letting the car coast through.
Well, that could certainly explain why that engine might let go there. All right, well now let's pick up a battle. Yeah, well actually now it's a battle for second because we've lost
that's right.
So yeah, this is a Reale here. Starkov, in fact, he's looking for a way around. Coming into 8.
I think if I was one of these drivers, I'd do what I mentioned to Morrison earlier. Don't push so hard. Just kind of get into a comfortable line, drive the car within the limits, and you're going to see guys fall by the wayside around you.
Well, we are into only lap 19 right now, so we have not even come close to the halfway mark yet.
And only 10 cars on the lead lap, Bill.
That's the way it's supposed to be. If you want to go back to old school racing, back in 1967, you were lucky to get a handful of cars just to finish a race. So this makes me feel good right now. We had a nice turnout. 17, a good, fair turnout. Joe, you talked about it. That's about what you would see in 1967.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's why they only gave points down to 6, because, 6 cars would usually finish. Don't really see that much anymore. I think the last time they really had attrition that worst was probably, I think, Monaco 96 when 3 cars came to the finish line.
Don't forget that Grand Prix race at Indianapolis. That only had 6.
We try to forget that one, Bill, if we're honest.
Be honest with you, just a little, we have a long race, a little story. I brought that up yesterday in a race I was doing with Cracker Sean Ambrose. And he said, oh, look at this pass. Oh, my goodness. I thought he was going to make a move here as we look at second. He said he was at that race.
Really? I did not know that.
Nor did I.
I do know that the Cleveland IndyCar race it was shortly after that. And they told the attendees, if you have a ticket to the U.S. Grand Prix and you bring it, they'll honor it so that they could go see a race. So that was pretty nice of them.
9 cars on the lead lap right now. Drivers who are out there still racing that have been put a lap down. Don Good, Jeroen Ursum.
Say what, 7th has got a great battle going on. Christopher Wind and Andrew Ang. They were pretty close. Ang got a horrible exit coming out of the final corner. White's corner there, though.
It's nice to give Ang a little screen time. He races in all of these events, and we don't get to show him much. Usually races just outside of the points.
Whoa, very loose. Coming through Clayton Corner, and he somehow gathers it together. He was doing some Tokyo drift coming around the first apex.
We're going to go on board and watch him saw on the wheel here.
I'm convinced, Bill, this is why I've been enjoying iRacing's dirt racing so much. I'm so used to sawing at the wheel.
Yeah. I think I was reading in the forums that Claridge was first to go ahead and try to put the Lotus out there on the dirt just to see what it's like. Shame on him.
I need to do that. Oh, are you kidding? I want to take the car out and try it.
Talk about Mick right now. He is up by 30 seconds, and that even includes his little off that he had in Moss.
Somehow traveled to Belgium and back. Oh, we got a pass, though. David French on Starkov coming through Quebec. He's going to try and make it happen. Oh, gosh, too wide through turn 4 is going to be very tricky. He's off to the side, and he's going to be into the tires. No!
Wow!
Wow!
Somebody's been doing some dirt track racing this week.
I thought for sure that car was a gunner.
Unbelievable.
Look at that.
Director, see how many different views you can get of this one. This one is good to watch.
David French gets recovery of the race for me. Here, this should be a great angle. By all intents and purposes, in my experience in this car, Bill, that car should have been in the tires. I don't know how he did that.
Then he still fights a little bit more coming in there. Great recovery. Going to cost him some positions. So I guess it's kind of a backhanded compliment to say that was some great racing from him, but...
You know, if you, I said it before, if you can get to the finish in this race, you're going to do fine. But this is what puts on so many great races in this car. I think people don't expect it because it's so difficult. But what it does is in some of these other, like a GT3 car, we have all these aids. Drivers can just rifle off perfect lap after perfect lap. If you can get perfect lap after perfect lap in this car, you are a racing god. It is extremely difficult to be consistent. It takes a lot of finesse, and you see more mistakes. And that puts on great racing, because if you're battling with someone, you're going to get opportunities when you see these mistakes.
And if there was ever a car that would benefit from traction control, it would be these. They have so much horsepower.
That would be blasphemy, Bill.
Yeah,
you'd have some very angry drivers coming at you.
Your traction control is your right foot.
Well, the good news is we still have a little bit of a battle going on, because Starkov is still up on the back on the gearbox of Brett Rial. They've just been dropping off one by one. How about some credit to Brett, though, really withstanding the pressure. Oh, and Ulstead, what's going on with Ulstead? He's getting on the radio talking about something.
Yeah, I think they were talking about whether it was a battle for position.
He was trying to let Michael Morrison by, because Morrison has gotten back out on track, but there was miscommunication. They didn't touch each other, but they had a close moment earlier on as he was trying to give a lap back to Morrison, not realizing that Morrison was actually behind him.
Yeah, Morrison 7 laps down and Olstead 3 down.
All right, 5th position. Billy Bob is trying to make a recovery drive here. He's on David French now. Remember, he was involved in that incident that took out the top 3.
He's got a pretty good run here, but a little late by the time he gets there.
And this is why it's so tough to pass. All you got to do is go defensive coming into 8 like you saw French do there, and you can usually hold them off. Sometimes when you're side by side, you can make a pass around the outside, but it's not as easy in these cars because there's just not much grip there.
And we know Wright really well. He's already probably half feeling bad about getting into the back of somebody earlier in the race. He probably wants to be a little extra careful, does not want to be in a second incident.
Yeah, Wright is an extremely fair driver. I've had lots of great battles with him. Only time I've ever really had a problem is we were racing at Le Mans, and he went to try and block my run to the inside once. I didn't really like that, but we shook hands afterwards, so there were no hard feelings. And my director is wondering if it was with or without chicanes, and you bet that these cars ran without the chicanes on iRacing. That any track that has a chicane, I guarantee you this league is like, nope, get rid of them.
Well, you know, as commentators, we kind of have an unfair platform towards the driver, so anytime that they can get a little anything back on us GSRC guys, they like to take it out on us on the track. As we look at this battle, Billy Bob doing French running in 5th.
Now here's what's interesting. They don't experience a lot in these Lotus 49 races usually because they don't do them too long as traffic is coming into play, Bill. He just lapped at Andrew Ang. And on a track like this, lapping traffic is actually pretty tricky unless they're very cooperative with you.
And those fans of Synergy will be disappointed that David French is not from France. He is indeed an Australian driver.
Are there French settlements in Australia? I don't know. I'm not familiar. I'll have to look that up. Anyways, I'm kind of watching the battle for third here. Or actually, well, second, I should say.
This is Brett Brielle. Now, I've only known Brett for the 2 races that I've covered. He seems to be a very consistent driver from what I've seen. Hate to draw such a quick conclusion about him over only 2 races, but from what I've seen, he's just very straightforward, stays out of trouble.
I'd say that's a fair assessment of what I've gotten to know of Brett. He tends to really just kind of put the races in. Not usually a race winner, but definitely a front runner, and just kind of gets the results you need. You might not like this comparison. He's very, very Nick Heidfeld-esque.
He has been chased by Starkov for quite a while. That's been going on since, ever since really it was a 4-car battle, and then they just lost 2 of them with Morrison and I guess Billy Bob Wright was in that one. Oh, I guess Olstaff was up there.
And they have a car just a bit off ahead of them. That's Jeroen Ursum. I think this is going to be lap traffic that they're going to have to work past.
Getting around the pink Barbie car. Whoa, Jeroen, careful.
No. Keep it on, keep it on. There we go. Look at that paint scheme.
Gotta love it.
Oh, boy. I love that he puts that on every car no matter what. That is great, Jeroen. Keep doing what you're doing, bud. Oh, Starkov is very close.
Again, though, Joe, by the time... Maybe it's just because it's under braking that makes it look like he has a run. And I guess that's... He seems to be really good into 8. I'm talking about Starkov.
Yeah, he seems to be getting decent runs, but it's like I said, you really got to be fully side by side to try and make a challenge into there, which is not impossible, just really tough. Always interests me to see what lines drivers are taking through turn 2. It's such a weird corner. Wow, very good. Christian must have his brake bias very different from what Brett has, because he, like you said, he's really closing in quick.
Joe, is that something in these cars from '67? Is that something you can adjust while you're in the cockpit, or that's something you have to have done beforehand?
This is where I'm going to show that I'm not a fast driver. I don't know, because I never messed with it in the car. Oh, and is Billy Bob having more trouble? He's off. I don't think he hit anything. He might have actually hit another car. David French, potentially. Let's watch on the replay. He got very close to the back of him. It was the lightest of touches if he did get him.
And that might have been a stab at the brake as well to stay off the gearbox. They got him a little loose.
It's always really scary in these cars because it's like we were saying, they don't stop quickly. So when you are fighting close with someone, it takes a lot of trust and knowledge of the types of lines that they take. And when you come up to someone unfamiliar, and David French is off, manages to keep it together. We have seen more saves this race than I think I've ever seen in this car at Mosport. But as I was saying, when you're battling close like that, and you do get surprised, it's so hard to stay out, and it's so hard to keep control of the car because that panic instinct comes in. Like you said, you stab the brake, and the car gets upset underneath you, and it's easy to lose it.
So with French having that issue, he's still in 5th. Wright is in 6th now. Those are point-paying positions.
Well, for fans of Mick Claridge, yes, he's still in the race. Still leading. And, Bill, I'm taking a look at that gap. You want to read that out so I know that I'm not hallucinating?
Yeah, it's It's still double digits. It's not triple digits yet, but it's 39 seconds.
Jeez, and this is a minute 18, minute 15 if you're fast lap around here. So 30 seconds is a huge chunk.
He was only 3/10. I mean, not only 3/10 of a second is a pretty good gap when it comes to qualifying, but it's hard to make up all that time. That just shows you not only can he hot lap, but he can race as well.
I think this has been flattered somewhat by all the problems that the top runners have had. I mean, Mick hasn't been perfect this battle is getting close here between Brett and Christian.
Yeah, let's be honest here. I think Starkov is probably faster than Reale if he could just get around him.
He's probably getting frustrated at this point. He knows that he could peel away from him. He's starting to close once again. Just not close enough every time. I think what he's going to have to hope for here is either a mistake or they're coming up to Don Good, one of these lapped cars. If Brett could catch him at just the wrong time, that could give Christian a chance to maybe try and surprise him.
Well, Good lives up to his name there and does a good job of letting the guys get around him.
So I guess no opportunity this time around. Next one they're going to be lapping is Michael Morrison.
Let's stay on this battle all the way through around here and see what Starkov can do as we come in. As they work through Quebec now.
I'd be curious if we could ride on board each of them to kind of get a feel for how they're driving the car, because I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot more hand movement from Christian, the way he's wheeling this car, and Brett, who just seems so smooth. Big correction there coming through Moss from Christian.
Yeah, what Reale gives up under braking, he sure does make on corner exit, because he gets a great drive off of Moss every time. And by the time Starkov gets there, it's too late. He's not even going to have a shot at him this time.
Coming down into turn 8. Really don't want to be making corrections into here. It'd be interesting if we could say until turn 2, because that is the corner where you do actually tend to kind of counter steer just a little bit. I like to try and rotate the rear on the entry to the corner.
It's kind of nice to have this longer race where we can spend a little more time focused on a battle. This gives you a real feel of what's going on out there. Oh, he is loose. Reale gathers it up.
Oh, nice job. It's too bad for Starkov that he wasn't closer. If he was right on the gearbox, that would have been a great opportunity to go on the attack down into Quebec. Also, well, it sounds like we got something on with 5th position. And once again, Billy Bob Wright and David French back at it.
Well, I got to think that Wright is probably faster, too, as he had a bigger spin than French did, and he's able to run him back down.
Yeah, he's definitely got the pace.
Oh, now this
he
is
likes
interesting.
This track.
Now, here's Don Good. Again, Don gets out of the way, and it didn't mess up the exit. Let's go to P2. All right, here he comes, Joe.
He was a little closer. He just wasn't close enough. Also, we got some information. You can adjust the brake bias and the ARB arms in these cars as you're driving.
We're keeping our eye on 2 battles now. We have the battle for 2nd between Reale and Starkov, and then the battle for 5th between French and Wright.
Oh, Starkov is now all over him. If he can get the launch off of this corner. Just about dead even, though. Even though these cars brake more than most other cars on iRacing around some of these corners. Ooh, takes a peek down into Moss. It's the braking still just isn't enough into these fast sweepers that you really get a chance to try and out-brake someone.
Let's stay on this one now, because this is probably closer down the Andretti straight than he's been before. I think we got a shot at this one. In fact, Reale looking to take maybe a weaving back and forth. Not going to happen, though.
I wonder if Christian had to lift a little bit maybe over that crest on the back straight. And it might be hard to believe, but these cars were actually more difficult when they first came out to drive down that back straight. They were just demonic. Oh, and Christian dips a little bit of a wheel off coming off the final corner.
And I think this is kind of also a remnant of knowing that Starkov has absolutely no chance of getting up to Claridge. So this is really all he's going to be able to do. So,
oh, this is a great opportunity. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought that maybe he would have tried that one. I guess he suspected that maybe Brett was trying to defend there. I think that was more just his natural line. Both of them were kind of taking the middle of the road on the entry to Quebec.
That's a move you can make on lap 33 of a 45-lap race. Maybe not the move you make on the white flag.
We're out on board with Real here. And now Christian really got a horrible run coming out of Moss. Going to have no opportunity this time. Ooh, he's way wide coming through turn 8 there. One thing that's been happening, Bill, is Mick Claridge has he's been having some connection issues here.
Yeah, he has blinked a few times, and we start to worry. He's not. In fact, our timing and scoring didn't register a last lap. That doesn't mean that he wasn't, or iRacing didn't count it, but that's a sign that things could be going south as far as internet connection.
Oh, he's got to hope it doesn't happen too much, because honestly, it is possible for iRacing not to count your lap from your time or from your connection problems, and there can be a case where you've completed the lap, but iRacing didn't see it, so you're effectively still in the lead, but it puts you a lap down. So it does happen. Here's hoping Mick doesn't suffer from that. And Jeroen Ursum, unfortunately, I think the Barbie car might have to be sent to the dream house. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's... Oh, no, you just a little tap. Just a little tap. Actually, I don't think he touched it. He got very lucky.
Barbie's back out.
So continuing on, he's 2 laps down, but he is in 11th. Remember, he started this race in 16th out of 17, so he gained quite a few positions. Once again, that attrition pays off if you go for the Dory Award.
Of course, if you're not familiar with the Dory Award, that's just keep swimming, just get out there and put in the miles. Can we go maybe ride on board a minute with Billy Bob Wright? Because David French is putting on a show. What he is doing is, I've never seen a car so loose. Now don't give up doing what you've been doing, David, but that car is just all over the place. We've seen him do it on the grass, he's doing it on the pavement. Wright trying to run him down. This is a battle for 5th.
And for anybody wondering why we keep calling him Billy Bob, it's because it's the nickname he goes by in the MX-5 World Tour. We know on screen it says William Wright, but he'll always be Billy Bob.
Hails from the southern part of the United States down there.
I thought he was Californian.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, no, he's at Florida. Okay, there we go. So that is
south as you can get, yeah.
It's
if
like
you want
California.
To talk Constructors' just like California. You want to talk Constructors' Cup, big day for the UK from Claridge. Reale will score for the US. Now, this is Germany. If you didn't know about Christian Starkov, he's a German driver. He's one of the drivers that raced at Monza. Then I don't think either he didn't finish well at Donington or sat that one out, so it's good to see him back.
I think he had some problems at Monza, didn't he?
No, he scored at Monza. He was on there. It was Donington that gave him some issues.
Ah, that's what it was.
Australia going to pick up a few points as well. Only the top driver from a nation scores for them for their home country.
Starkov continuing to just be stuck, and now it's getting to the end of the race here, Bill. 9 laps left. He's going to have to start trying some things.
Yeah, he is. You can almost start to feel him being a little more aggressive now as he works through whites.
He's getting close here.
Yeah.
He's now up to a car length. Oh, look
Good
at
try.
this. Oh, is he going to try it into Clayton? He does stick his nose in. Oh, a little bit of contact there coming through turn
Got him.
2. Moved him out of the way, and I think he's got it.
Woo! This is a fun one. This is a pass that was set up for the last 15 laps.
Let's watch it from above. I think he made just the lightest of contacts. This is almost a NASCAR move. Just, excuse me. Oh, no, from that angle, it didn't look like they touched at all. Just scared him off the line.
And a nice job from Brett, too, not forcing the issue there. Kind of goes back to the type of driver that we said he was. He's going to bring that car home. Big point stay for him. Bring it home in third.
This is what I'm interested to see. Now that Christian is by, does he start to stretch away? He's got a little bit of a gap, but it's only half a second right now.
So Starkov up to third. We're going to watch right now as he's got a lap car here. No, I'm sorry. That's Starkov has nobody to get around.
A little bit farther back, Bill, David French and Billy Bob Wright have caught up to Benjamin Zocco. They've gunned him down.
Yeah, Zocco has been had a couple issues. Nothing to really mention, but he hasn't been real clean. And yes, they are coming. I've seen him off track a couple times.
Unfortunately for these guys, this is going to be just off the podium. But a battle for fourth. These are the last 3 point-scoring positions.
Oh, but points are so precious that even a single point means a lot here.
That can make a difference when you're dealing with so few. Winner only gets 9.
Now, it won't matter much in the Constructors' Cup as those top 2 drivers, Zocco and French, are both Australian.
You know what, though, Bill? I don't think those guys are worried
Nope.
about that.
Whoa! Did he see him coming to get out of the way?
I think
What?
he did. That has to be the farthest back dive bomb I think I've ever seen work. Let's watch that replay. Credit to both drivers. David French for keeping out of him, and then as well to Benjamin Zocco for seeing it coming. Let's watch on board. You can see that car start to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
And just when he starts to turn and he decides not to do it. Wow.
I wonder how Ben's going to feel about that move after the race, though. I don't think that was an intentional pass. I think David just outbraked himself.
Oh, there was no slowing down French on that one. That car was pointed where it was going to go.
But they're still close together, so he could come back at him.
So Zocco had 2 choices. He could have gone to the apex and been wrecked and then complained that he was in the right, or he could just give up the position.
Are we going to go 2 for 2 here? Because here comes Billy Bob right on the back of him. This time Benjamin goes defensive. Oh, and he turns him! Benjamin manages to keep it together through the grass, but oh, that is going to be one unhappy Australian after 2 times in a row. He gets a little bit of rude moves into turn 8.
In Florida, they call that the chrome horn.
Let's watch it from above. He was a little bit far away. I wonder if they didn't actually touch.
Of course, every screen is different. I'll give you a look on my screen. I didn't see him touch on my screen. I would say there's probably about a foot difference.
Yeah, that looks pretty far apart.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. What in the world has happened in second place? When did we miss this, Bill?
Realia, all that action. Realia is back up to second. We'll see how that happened. It was just a...
Oh, it wasn't too long
he got
ago.
loose.
We could actually get the replay on this. This was maybe about 40, 50 seconds ago.
What corner was that, Joe?
That's Quebec.
Yeah.
You're going to right here. Look,
There
wow, big drift. Kept it together, but what happens there, you were asking about, wearing out the tires. You can overheat them, and trying to get back going quickly can be tough. If you have big slides like that, you do a lot of wheel spin. That's one of the disadvantages to having a really loose driving style in these cars.
So now with only 4 to go, Reale back out in front. Let's go ahead and run down at least your top 5. Of course, you got Claridge out there. He's still in the race. Second place now, back to Reale. Starkov going to have to do that again, running in third. Then those guys farther behind. French was able to move up into fourth. Billy Bob Wright had that net code pass to get up to fifth. And Zoko now in the final points position.
Unfortunately, this means that there's not really any close battles, although Starkov might be able to put the pressure back on Brett.
I think so.
Let's give some screen time to some of our drivers who really haven't had a whole lot, like Hideki back there, currently running in 9th, so going to get a top 10 finish, who unfortunately, according to Bill, doesn't know if he wants salmiakki or sushi.
Well, I would encourage him to come into an interview, because I'd like to find out about him.
Well, it does say Finland on his club, so...
He could be a traveler.
Yeah, could be.
How about a little love to Christopher Winton running in 7th position right now, just out of the points. Another U.S. driver from the proud state, the Lone Star state of Texas.
Makes our director happy. And he's actually running pretty good laps back there, doing low 118s, high 117s, so he's got good pace, actually. Good pace for me, at least.
I'd like to continue through the field, but we really got to go to second position because he's back, and we're talking Christian Starkov.
Oh, he's very close. Once again, down into turn 8. Just can't seem to make it happen. Oh, battle for 4th as well. French has Billy Bob Wright back in it. These two just cannot get away from each other.
They cannot.
Ooh, trying around the outside, being much more aggressive on the brakes, but it did not work for Wright. And unfortunately, I think that cost him because he couldn't get to the power as soon as he wanted.
Wright has been very fast. He's had several issues.
This is probably one that Billy Bob is going to want to forget. This is not as clean as we're used to seeing from him.
Let's go to second again because they've just worked their way through Moss. So let's see what Starkov can do. Unfortunately for Starkov, he hasn't been watching the broadcast, so he doesn't know some of the passing techniques that can be deployed down this back straight here, down to the Andretti straight. Nothing going to happen this time.
And I'll tell you what, Bill, we're up to 6 cars on the lead lap. Mick Claridge is actually pretty close to lapping Benjamin Zoko, but I don't think he's going to be able to get it because we got the white flag coming out this time by.
Yeah, he has a minute lead over Reale.
Mick, of course, is proud of his muscle car that he likes to show off on the forums. Very beautiful looking car, by the way.
Mick's internet connection issues seems to have subsided, so knock on plastic
if he
here.
Disappears on this lap, I'm blaming you, Bill, for saying that.
I just knock on my plastic table here, yeah. Okay, let's go. We'll have time to look at this one more time here. Let's go to Moss. And this is Reale with a drive-through here. This is his best chance. Now, is this going to be his last bite of this apple? No, I guess he'll get one more after this because these guys have not crossed the start-finish line yet.
He's going to have to hustle, though. This is definitely not going to be his chance for him, because Christian Starko's got about 3 car lengths between them. And Bill, 3 more corners to go. I think this is it for Mick.
There he is, working his way through the S's now. Through 9 and then through whites. It's the Tidal Influence Lotus 49 Championship. And give the win. Is he going to come across slowly? He's trying.
Oh, and Starkov, something's happened to him. Oh, no. Coming out of turn 1. Just dipped a wheel into the dirt. You're going to see here, the lefts went off, and you go right. 1 lap to go. Was looking at least a podium. And Andrew Ang, unfortunately, had to take evasive action. I think that ended his race as well.
Starko was able to come across, though, just behind the leader, so he's going to get credit. I guess the lead car 1 lap down. Let's go ahead and rally. Now, I've lost my spot. Have this finished up, these guys, yet, or this?
Looks like Rial's just finishing now. That's how far behind they were the leader. So that's going to give second place to Brett on the podium. And how about David French? Who would have thought in that scary moment, I hope we get to talk to him, that he would be on the podium, a 3rd place,
Look
Bill.
at that.
Unreal.
Starko continues to fall down the timing and scoring as everyone gets around him. Looks like Billy Bob Wright. William, you're going to get 4th.
Starkov going to get a point, though.
Starkov gets 5th.
2 points, I think.
Yeah. What happened was Zoko had an issue, and he let the leader go by, so he didn't have to go 1 more lap around. So Zoko is going to get 6th place. Tough break for Christian Starkov there. It was as high as 2nd, going to get only 5th place points. Okay, Joe, and all you viewers, this is a Global Sim Racing channel. You've been watching our coverage of the Tidal Influence Lotus 49 Championship. We're going to take a short break, but we'll be back to run down the entire finishing order, do driver interviews and close-up shot. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Lotus and Racing Channel's coverage of the Tidal Influence Lotus 49 World Cup Championship. We just wrapped up round number 3 here at this beautiful layout that we were just at in Canada, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport. Our winner today, he won this thing by 56 seconds. Mick, I do declare it, we didn't have much screen time for him because he was so far out in front. Some guy who was in a battle for much of the race, Brett Reale, gets second position. David French has got to be happy about a podium position. He'd had some amazing saves, was in some fighting the entire race. Good job from the Australian driver. William Wright, Billy Bob, gets fourth position. Christian Starkov, who was up as far as second position, had a mistake on the last lap, is going to finish first car 1 lap down. Benjamin Soko, the final points position in 6th. Christopher Wenton in 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th goes to Andrew Eng, Hideki Kovavisto, and then Don Good in the 10th spot. Joe?
Jeroen Ursum is going to come home in 11th with Jack Ulstead, who was well up there at the start of the race. Unfortunately, a 3-car incident sent him back, and he finishes in 12th. Michael Morrison, same story with him. He was involved in that incident, comes home in 13th. Borja Valero Casal had an error that cost him the race, and he finishes well down. In fact, DNF in 14th. Same with all behind him. These are did not finishes. Frank Oosterhuis in 15th. Daniel Weishank in 16th. And Ove Trengered in 17th. That rounds out our field, Bill.
Okay, Joe, I think we can catch you up with our race winner here, Mick Claridge, who goes 3 for 3.
Well, Mick, we know that it wasn't a perfect race from you. We did catch a little bit of a mistake into Moss Corner there. But other than that, it seemed like it was a little bit lonesome for you.
Hi, guys. It was a lot tougher than it looked, really, to be honest with you. The reason I span there is because I slowed down. Same old, you lose your concentration, you know. So, and the set doesn't really work unless the car bottoms out there. So, I had to really push all the way through that.
That explains the tremendous gap that you had built up. I know it was a little bit flattered because you had a lot of top drivers fall by the wayside throughout the race. It maybe could have made it a little bit closer. But did you expect to have this much of an advantage over the rest of the field here?
They was unlucky, weren't they? But I don't actually know what happened to Uwe and Bora. But all week Uwe's been really quick. This would have been the week where you'd have seen a battle because Uwe's been really fast. He was only, I think it was about a 10th and a half off me in practice this week. So it was a real shame that he wasn't able to get second there.
Now we go from one old school track to another. Next week it's going to be Bathurst. I assume you expect a lot more attrition there. Are you gonna be going full tilt there as well to try and keep the car together?
No.
Yeah, I would think the same thing. It's a little even more punishing, as hard as it seems, than here at Mosport. But once again, an incredible drive, phenomenal performance with over a minute gap at the end of the day. Nice win today.
Yeah, cheers, Joe. It's going to be tough from next week on. I've been pretty lucky in these first few races. It's going to be a hell of a battle next week. I might not even be nowhere near the lead next week. And I'm looking at the schedule right now. There's only a couple of tracks I'm good at now from now on. So I've been really lucky.
Luck and skill, I think, from a phenomenal driver. Mick Claridge, our first place finisher here today. Bill, who have you got pulled off to the side?
Well, first of all, maybe a little false monitor there from Mick. We'll find out. We'll see how things. It's nice to see him do that. Keeps the drama in the series. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and talk to our Australian driver, Christian. We're going to talk to Benjamin Zoko. He had a 6th place finish today. He started in 11th. But Benjamin, I want to jump right to lap number 38. I need to know, did you see your countrymen coming there? When I'm talking French on that coming into turn 8, did you see him making that dive bob move?
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was kind of strategic. I was following him earlier in the race, and I sort of felt bad for him because he was going too wide with, I think, Christian and I went off the road and I got that spot. And then they both caught me up. Everyone was a bit faster than me today, and I thought best to get a countryman a bit further up in the points than me. So I kind of let him go. I broke a bit early for the corner, and then when he got alongside, I let him go through. So yeah, I saw it coming, and I kind of let him through. I mean, I was thinking of letting him go through a bit later on in the race as he got a bit closer, but it was definitely like strategic, and I did see it coming, so it was all good.
And then I don't know if it's going to make it a little easier pill to swallow or not. We gave a quick look to the Billy Bob Wright incident there that turned you around another spot when you were running in fifth. Looked like a little bit of ghost contact, a little net lag there, but you certainly had an eventful race.
Yeah, I mean, at the start, I thought I was being held up by the guys in front. And I thought, okay, we've got a long race. I'll just keep consistent, and they'll probably have it coming together, and then I'll make up some points. And then, although a bunch of guys in the front came together and I made up some positions, Brett and Christian never did. And as the race progressed, my lap times were consistently the same, and they were getting faster, and I couldn't go any faster, so they pulled away. I had one problem where I downshifted twice in those fast corners towards the end of the lap, and I almost lost it there. But otherwise, I was like really consistent. I was getting a bit frustrated with my spotter telling me I was doing 116.6, 116.6, and yeah, it was really good to have people to fight with the whole way, and I was hoping to stay on the back of Brett and Christian, and I couldn't. And then of course Billy Bob and Frenchie caught up to me. They were just too fast towards the end of the race. All week long, I managed to get one lap into the 1 minute 15s, and I just can't go any faster at this track. So I definitely sort of finished where I belong, I suppose, apart from the guys crashing out in front. And it was a fun, long, hard race. I enjoyed it.
Quick question at the very, very end of the race. Help me understand what was going on there with Mick Claridge. Were you trying to let him by so you didn't have to go one more lap, or it looked like it was, do you want to finish on the lead lap? What was going on there at the very end of the finish line?
Yeah, that was me just not wanting to do another lap, which was stupid because the whole time I thought, oh, surely there's going to be a coming together on the last lap, and I'll pick up some more positions. And it turns out that Christian had a spin or something like that, and I probably would have picked up an extra spot. So, I mean, that was just me being lazy.
Your own laziness cost you a point. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Well, that'll teach you. But it wouldn't have mattered, at least for Australia, as David French got some points for your country.
That's the main thing. It's a team sport here. We're going for the World Cup, so I'm just glad that there's another Australian that can make it to this time slot. And Frenchie is a seasoned campaigner in the Lotus 49. We've raced together a lot over the years, and I'm really glad that he could get on the podium today. Okay, well, we're going home next week, so we'll see you at Bathurst. Sure will. It's going to be great. It's another race where you just keep it off the walls and you can gain a lot of spots. So I'm looking to have a good finish at home. Thanks a lot. There you have it. Sixth place finisher today. Final points position. That's Benjamin Soko. Joe, who you got?
I've got our second place finisher, Brett Rial. And Brett, first off, I have some advice for you. When you fly off to the next race. You're going to want to go a little bit early because you're going to have problems with the metal detectors. You, sir, have nerves of steel.
I hope you can actually hear me. My microphone's kind of screwed.
We got you.
Okay. Yeah, that was... I'm relatively new at this whole iRacing thing. This is my third season. Christian behind me the whole time. That was so nerve-wracking that by the 10 laps to go, I had to let him go by me and turn.
Yeah, talk to us about how you were dealing with that. Were you just trying to focus on what's ahead of you, or did you have your eyes on the mirror? Mentally, how did you deal with it?
Well, I'm mostly, if you look at the way I drive, I do really well in qualifying because racing sims is pretty much just a hot lapper. I actually never raced online racing. A couple of MX-5s, some Barber, and then I found the 49, fell in love with it. So basically that's mostly what I've been racing. I just kind of hot lap and not pay attention to anything until I see them in my mirror, like right there, and then decide, okay, I got to get up and go, or Christian right there. I said, just get in front of me, dude.
Well, for a hot lapper, I'd say your racecraft is pretty incredible because you did a great job withstanding the pressure. You might have to turn the sensitivity on your mic up a little bit. You were cutting in and out, but second place, this is going to do great. Are you actually going to try and compete in the championship here? Are you concerned with that, or are you just kind of out here for fun?
Well, I'm here for. Excuse me. So dry after that. It's crazy. I'm here to compete and have fun, but the way I look at myself, considering you got people like Ove and Mick in the mix, and Jack and all these other really great drivers, I'm kind of like the carrion bird. So so basically, I just kind of sit there in my 6th, 7th position, and just see what happens, and might luck into a second place, might look into a first. But I'm definitely out there to compete with the people around me. But I know my limitations at this point.
Well, I can tell you from experience with this car, lucking into those upper positions is a legitimate strategy. As you can see, a lot of guys fall by the wayside. But again, awesome job on the second place. Well done race today.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Great broadcast you guys put on. Love it.
That was Brett Real, second place finisher from Pennsylvania. And I believe Bill has one more person to talk to. One of your favorite interviews to do, Bill.
I didn't know I'm glad we're going to have time to do this. Let's go ahead and talk to. We'll bring him in here in the pink Barbie car. Jeroen, welcome to the series, and it was fun. Good to see that Barbie car out there on the track.
Thank you, guys. That car is insane.
A little different from the MX-5. Well, you only finished 2 laps down. You had a pretty good race. You were heading towards the tires there for a second. You got woed up before you got there.
I almost headed to the dream house there.
That's the same line Joe did. That's funny. It was so nice of you to come in here and race with us. I hope to see you again. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a good time. I was going for the Dory Award on this one, but I was hoping for a top 10 finish, but somehow that's not always happening for me.
Yeah, just top 10s are always... Those are always hard for you to get. There's a long story behind that one in the MX-5 World Tour. It took him a long time to get his first top 10. Finishing 11th today. Well, Jeroen, we hope you come back and race with us some more.
Yeah, I would like to, but I heard the next race will be Bathurst, so I'll be skipping that one for sure.
Well,
I don't have the balls for that yet.
It may not be a long race for you, so that's something you can maybe look forward to. Hey, great to have you here. Always good to not only see you on the track, but have you come in and join us in the interview room.
Yeah, thanks for broadcasting, guys.
There he is, Jeroen Urselman. Let me give out a personal hi to his daughter. I believe she is now about 10 years old that he races that Barbie car for. He's been racing that for her for many a season, many a year, Joe. Probably 3, 4, 5 years we go back.
What's he going to do when she's a teenager? That's what I
know. I think it's Barbies from here on out. All right, here we go. That's going to wrap it up for us. Boy, thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We have a few thanks to do. I'd like, first of all, to thank Jack Olstad and Benjamin Soko for promoting and organizing the Lotus 49 World Cup Championship. Thanks to Tidal Influence. They're an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, that restores the wetlands and saves and studies endangered species and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com.
Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcasts, you can see on your screen. Additional thanks to our musical contributors Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. You can find their music at the websites listed. Next race, as we mentioned, that's going to be at Bathurst, and that might sound crazy, but I assure you, in these cars, it is an absolute blast. It is fun to ride around. That'll be April 9th next week at the same time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, if you want to catch that one. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /globalsimracingchannel.
And finally, on behalf of the man whose voice you just heard, Joe Peak, our director Amjad Yaman, and our camera artist Dougie Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. And with that said, it's time for us to go have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.